Give me a sense a little bit about your background. You've been in a lot of brands and how you came to Patagonia. Anything that you find compelling?
Yeah, so my whole career has been in retail. I've done everything from apparel to home furnishings. Started in merchandising, moved into business strategy, and digital has been like the last 10 years or
Yep.
15 years of my career. Really a lot of experience in direct to consumer, which has really fueled my experience so far. And Patagonia reached out to me from the previous brand I was at, and I think what they were really looking for was someone to just really give them a vision of what digital could really be for the brand. They were definitely behind as far as like just all the basics, really site experience, marketing strategies, all of that. So that's what I've been working on for the past 4 years, and really championing for us kind of not only just kind of being at the same pace as every other brand, but get to the point where we're actually leading in this space of digital.
When you say pace, what do you mean by that?
I mean, from a perspective of, marketing strategies, site experience, they were just really behind because they hadn't invested in that. So even just navigating the site to find the right product was actually really challenging. Like you had to be committed. But I was going to say, anyone be on the site like 4 years ago, they were just like, I won't spend an hour, or I did all this because I was committed to buy it. And if you weren't committed, you bounced to REI. If you needed more information, you went to another website, and that's a failure for a vertical brand.
I have a question later about that. But so I worked in retail like many years ago, as just in college, and I found it an amazing learning experience. It was great to talk to the consumer, see the different products on display.
Yeah.
How much did that, your merchandising experience, carry over to the digital world?
Yeah.
Or was there, am I missing that? Was there a
No,
gap?
it was 100% integral. I think in college, I was on the sales floor. I worked in retail, and then I was a buyer. And I think those experiences absolutely is my North Star even today. I just automatically think of the customer experience before we even start a conversation.
Yep.
And I notice for people who haven't had that sort of retail experience, it's something they have to kind of learn more. It's just not an innate thought, and honestly, I think it's one of my superpowers in my career.
I could agree more. It's crazy how often you just, you'll get into these digital spots from product and say, did you just talk to the user?
Right. Yeah.
Did you go down and use it? Because I think you see that in a retail environment. Jumping around a bit, Patagonia is amazing at storytelling, right? And it's the one thing the site was, I felt like it had some of that aesthetic. I've been in D2C for a long time, and when I was at People, one of the things that always drove the brand folks nuts was the colors that I used on my, on the display cards and things like that, because it's like, oh, please don't go outside the People brand. I was like, but it was performative,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you think about a company that, when I think about aesthetic, I think about Patagonia,
right?
And that digital experience and the storytelling around it when you have the commercial aspect of it.
Yeah.
How does that, something that you?
Yeah. I mean, you've tapped into some of the most challenging moments at my time at Patagonia, which is, there's what the data tells you as far as like the color of a CTA or how we should talk about a product. But then there's that protection of the brand ethos, which is really rich storytelling, long form content, not short form, and it's ironic now that AI is actually going to favor all of that we've always done really well, and started to move and try to figure out how can we do things in micro bites and small bits of content. And so now we're just trying to find that balance a little bit. But it's always been a challenge because I have to protect what Patagonia is known for, and I have to protect that rich storytelling. But at the same time, I need content, and I need the ability to be flexible enough to react to something that might be perfect on TikTok. And then the brand is very protective about moving quickly into things. So we literally just started experimenting on paid TikTok this holiday.
Right.
Most brands have probably been doing that like 6 years ago.
So that requires probably some
good
politicking and sales.
A lot of politicking,
back to your sales and retail.
Yes, a lot of data. I like to, have that intuition that you get from your years of retail experience, but at the same time, I like to proof test our thoughts and theories on things, to be able to say like, okay, I get it. Like, yes, if it was bright purple or bright red, it would click more. More people click on it, might convert better. But I have the luxury of like that sort of ROI goals are not as intense as they would be for a commercial, public brand. So
Yep.
I can have a little bit lower click through if the experience is rich enough for the customer, and
That's
that
interesting.
is, that's a gift.
Can you just kind of describe what the digital journey is for users? I mean, I have my own personal experience on it, but I'm just curious how you think about that.
Yeah. So I think for us, we've gone through a little bit of an evolution where the priority was really to immerse people in the brand itself and the storytelling, from circularity to environmental causes. And oh, by the way, if you want to buy a product, sweet, we can help you with that, right? And as someone who's come from the commercial side, that was kind of like, okay, I need to find a little bit more balance, because you're also challenging me to grow the business. And I can't grow the business if we don't put some of the product forward and be more product centric. But the founders always were really has strong opinion about consumerism and fueling false consumerism. So I spent a lot of time sort of educating and championing for like, there's a way for us to still be product centric, really talk about the product, get people in where they see an amazing photograph of someone rock climbing, and when they click through to that, they're actually get the opportunity to see like, is it just like a nice moisture wicking t-shirt, or is it really hardcore like climbing pants that they need? And then what's the journey for that customer where they can either go really rich into really specific, highly technical product, or they just need something that anybody could buy. It just happens to be, we designed it for a climber. And so I think our journey, to really answer your question, is really about being able to message different customers at different levels of need, and different expertise. Like if you take like outerwear, not everybody cares what the downfill weight is, but the person who's really going to be out there in the elements, they absolutely need to know that, right? So how do we, and what we're working on now is I'm really excited about is trying to not like throw everything at everyone at the same, because not everybody needs the same information. Like, how do we kind of spoon feed the right information for the right person based on what their needs are?
Yeah, it's funny. So in weather, I'm an outdoor athlete, or whatever you want to call it, but enthusiast. And I have $300 of paid weather products, and they're all, in the various, skiing, kiteboarding, all these different areas. And we're going to be moving into some of those spaces. And the two things I've been thinking about is those niche, and this curious is bringing back to Patagonia, those kind of specialists, right? The people at the sharp end, there's not a lot of them, right? But I'm like, they're very important to the community. They're the influencers, even if they're not digital influencers. 100%. And then the second aspect is community. I'm a kiteboarder. There's a community there. And so to your point, how do you balance getting everybody, the weekend skier to the extreme athlete? How do you, I mean, you're getting into that. That's some of the tension I'm thinking we're going to face. And also respecting the community. It's kind of a hard balance.
Yeah, it is a hard balance, because I think, there's been a lot of conversation about if you're so much on the tip of those people who are really the niche pinnacle users, that you might lose other people who are just like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I just think that's cool, and I don't even know if I can buy it, and why am I spending $700 for this thing, right? But then you've got the other person. So how do you manage both of those? And for us, we've really pivoted on our pinnacle campaigns for that really, specialized user. We want to keep that credibility with that user. So we talk to them the way they want to be spoken to. And then we sort of use that as a halo effect. And what we've been able to do in digital versus some of the other channels is actually be able to get a thread line from like, you came for this most pinnacle product. There's probably 8% of the population that would ever buy this thing, but know that the design intent of that really specialized product informs the everyday product. So it might be a really amazing waterproof jacket, but the everyday rain jacket that you have was informed design-wise by that really pinnacle product. And so I think that that's the opportunity for us to continue to do that. And in digital, we've done it well. We haven't been able to do that as well in our wholesale channels and retail, because we give that pinnacle product the space, and it's just like, if it doesn't sell, then that's the end of it. But for us, we actually see a halo of the category overall lifts. So we did that for fly fishing as an example. Like, how many people are going to buy waders for fly fishing, right?
And how
Very
often?
few.
Yeah.
But the story of that, and being in water and wearing sun protection because you're in the elements all day, that product all lifted from that story. So so that's been exciting to test and learn from.
I could talk all day about this the brand, but like, what maybe pivoting to yourself, talking about the retail. You talked about protecting the brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I hear a lot in different companies I've been at, and that takes a lot of skill set and EQ to be able to navigate. Is there anything from your career, any people or moments that like helped shape you so you could navigate that?
Yeah, I think I've worked for a lot of great American brands, and Levi Strauss I think of often in my time there. And so I think for a brand like Patagonia, the Levi's of the world, as a new employee, you have to kind of honor that. Both those brands have amazing archives of their journey. Like, Levi's over 100 years old, Patagonia is over 50 years old, and you can go through the archives and see the original Pelotons that Yvonne, built for climbing. So I oftentimes am thinking about, like, what's the essence of that we have to protect, but then how do I move that to the next customer? And then I think sometimes brands are so immersed in their own voice that they think everybody knows it.
Yep.
And I think that was something that I kind of tried to champion for, is like, not everybody knows why Nanopuff has been around for 20 plus years. The new customer has no idea why it's so thin and how it's so warm. And we have to tell that story over and over again. We can't get tired of it. When I was at Levi, 501, like, we can never talk about 501 enough because that's synonymous with Levi Strauss, right? And the minute the brand walked away from that and talked about all the other cool stuff, the brand kind of fell down. So you always kind of have to keep that connection of what's core to the brand, but then give yourself enough space to kind of think about it in new ways, talk about it in new ways.
Right.
So yes, it's a balance, but to me, that's the fun part.
Respect, but not fear it. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you thinking about from a channel when you're trying to tell those stories to new? Like, what's your thought process there?
I think for me, we've been talking a lot about, like, what channels customers are over-indexing on. Like, we are really moving, like, our core customer was a little older 4 years ago when I started. So one thing was sort of bring the age down a little bit, and I think we've been able to do that in digital, probably leading more so than retail, because we have, like, buy now, pay later, which is a younger customer. We've moved into channels like TikTok and Snapchat, so that's a younger customer. And some of those customers are a little more female-led as well, which is a little bit different than what's happening in retail. The customer's still a little bit older, probably a little bit broader. And so I'm looking at how do we message maybe the same product in different ways, testing that on site, testing that through different channels. And it's sort of that integrated marketing message where it might be the same product, but how we talk about it on TikTok is going to be very different than how we talk about it on Instagram, and very different how we're going to talk about it on platform. So it's a constant challenge, but I think that kind of keeps it fun and interesting as well.
How did you find the? I'll just one last question about this. I think you said you oversaw analytics at some point.
Yes.
I've done that a lot. It's always amazing when you come into a company. But how was analytics in the company? Was it something that was respected or a priority, or was that something that you've had to invest time in?
It's a little bit of both. Like, there was definitely a team that was doing deep thinking, deep knowledge, and deep research. A lot of that about the customer and the product performance per se.
Okay.
And what I was trying to do is uplift that analytics team to, like, really think about customer and where should we be smart about the next customer, the next iteration of customers of Patagonia, really getting their voices heard throughout the brand. Because in the beginning, it was kind of like the business users of that data had the information, but the designers back on the other campus didn't have that same information of, like, what customers are really using that for, what's exciting to that customer, and we would help us inform not only marketing but now product design and now experience, which was an evolution.
I've seen that a lot. Breaking down the silos of data is just since we have only a little bit of time. Two questions. Two questions were in any order. One would be, what is your favorite product or piece of clothing from Patagonia? And two is, Is there anything that you're really excited about that you want to mention this year?
Yeah.
Just while we're talking.
I'd say my favorite product is a Houdini, which is like this really lightweight, thin jacket that balls up into this small little ball. You can put it in your pocket. It's designed to literally fit in your pocket as you're climbing. It was something I discovered probably on year 2, and I literally have one in every bag. You can use it for anything, and it absolutely keeps you a lot warmer. A lot warmer than you would think, you know? Yeah, and I love it, and it takes color really well. So I have really bold patterns and colors in it. So I love that. And I mountain bike, and I run, I climb. So all that stuff it's perfect for. And then the second question was
just anything that you're excited about for 2026 that you want to just touch upon.
Yeah, I'm really excited about our design future for digital. We've spent like about 3 months just having a small team, just think completely blue sky. Like, what could the next experience look like? What could that digital experience be that only Patagonia could do? So we have circularity, we have storytelling, we have activism, we have impact stories to tell, and we have product to sell. And how do we do that in a more integrated, dynamic way for the customer? And the prototype was amazing. Like, I'm so excited about what's I'm predicting a lot of awards when it actually gets launched in a couple of years.
Well, I'm very excited to see it. I mean, there's a lot we didn't get to talk about. Some of the philosophy behind the brand that I think is so amazing as well. But this has been a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.